I was a bit late. Eight minutes late. Sorry, I've just spent 37 minutes on the phone to O2. I ain't got a phone. So I'm one of those morons who, I don't remember any of my passwords. So my email, internet banking, I ain't got a clue. Anything. I just always have it logged in on my phone. Just shut my doors. Some pictures of my kids. Right. I lost my temper yesterday, didn't I? I lost my temper. I think I was a bit highly strung anyway. Highly strung over this latest police joke, seizing everything. They've seized everything. Just realising now I'm speaking to my colleagues I was arrested with. They've seized all the old stuff. They've seized everything, footage-wise. They've seized everything. But I had a bit of a rant. The rant was after watching war memorials be defaced in our capital city. And this is to... I had a friend message me about it, or message my wife's phone, one of my mates, saying, "Oh, bruv, what's going on, man? How come you're going nuts about Black Lives Matter?" So, bro, although I've addressed you, this is to address you again. This is to address why I was so vexed yesterday, okay? Why I was so angry with what's gone on. I was so angry because I believe the black community are being used. I believe that identity politics are being imported into our country from the United States. I believe that the Democrat Party, the left in the United States, who play this very well, they play the divide very well. They want to keep the black community down. They want to keep them oppressed. They want all of that, okay? And I believe that that is now imported into the UK with what I've witnessed in the last week. And I've seen it coming for a couple of years now, okay? All funded, all organised. Now, the people who spray painted the war memorials were white, probably middle class, Antifa activists. I've watched as your community have been lied to, and the narrative that's being pushed is a false narrative, okay? And I say it's a false narrative because in the United States, and this is why if you just research it, because if I speak to black people or that are following this movement, they say black people are literally being hunted down and killed by cops, okay? Because of racism. Now, that's not to deny there isn't racism. It's not to deny that the murder of George Floyd was murder, okay? By a scumbag, by a rogue cop, 4 coppers, justice for George Floyd. Well, the officer who killed him is facing murder charges. The 3 other officers are being charged. Out of the 4 officers that were there, 2 weren't white. The reason why I get it is because I think this has been totally blown up to be a racist incident. And there's nothing evidence-wise that says it was racist. The police officer who knelt and murdered him knew him previously. They worked the door together. There was some ulterior motive or reason for his death, yeah? And you can blame it on racism. But the same police force, there was a white female mother in her pajamas who rang the police, okay? The same police force. She rang the police come out, and a black Afro-American police officer shot her dead through her window. This is the same police force in the same year, in the same city. Now, none of you would have heard about this lady, okay? There was no riots over her. There were no protests over her. In the United States, a white man was murdered by multiple police officers. They sat on him, just like George Floyd, but they all sat on him for 13 minutes. He told them he was dying, just 3 years ago. Now, when he died, they mocked him and made jokes about him while he lay there dead on the floor. Now, no one would have heard about that, because that's why, because I see it being used, this is being used for racial divides, this movement, okay, to cause racial division. Now, you wouldn't have heard of that white man, you wouldn't have heard of the white woman killed by the same police force by a black police officer. Do I believe that black police officer shot her through the window because he was racist? No. He fucked up. He fucked up, okay? Do we have any evidence it was racist? No. Were there riots saying it was racist? No. So what's the difference? When I look at all of this, you are more likely to be killed in police custody in the United States if you're white through the demographics than if you're black. Again, a fact. It's a fact. Okay? And that's a fact you don't like, but what I see is that Antifa and the media are building this narrative that there's this big racist movement and world out there of white supremacy and police forces just shooting black people dead. And it's not true. Yes, some black people have been treated terribly, but as have some white people. It's in 2020 in this country, in custody, I think I'm going off the top, 160 white people have been killed in police custody. 13 black people, 10 migrants. Okay? Again, they're the numbers. Would you have heard of the 160 white people? No. You all feel like you're being oppressed because you all heard of Mark Duggan. You should have heard of Leon Briggs because he was murdered by Luton police and nothing was done about it, all right? He was a Luton lad, loved lad, and he was murdered by Luton police. But this racial identity politics, which is being turned into, that's what we're witnessing. It's built on a bullshit narrative. That's what it's built on. And I see my friends, and this is to my mates, and I see many of people putting black hands up and Black Lives Matter, and I can fully understand. As a black man, you've watched that video. The media are telling you that this is happening in everywhere, and it's murder, and it's oppression, and it's racism. The contrary is not given to white victims. We don't hear anything about them, okay? But you're being told this, you're being fed this, and it winds me up to see you used as well by Antifa, an extremist, far-left, fascist organisation who are there. And then why I get wound up is because let's make it the equivalence. I didn't mind that many people are coming out to protest over George Floyd's murder because it was horrific watching what happened to him. What I get pissed off with, why I lost my head yesterday on that video, is imagine we had a protest for freedom and everyone decided to tear down the Nelson Mandela statue. Or deface it. Spray paint it. Attack it. There'd be a lot of people rightly outraged. Whatever checkered history Nelson Mandela has got, whether he was a terrorist or not, people would be outraged. Now, I see Anthony Joshua, an icon to so many, stands up and gives a speech. In that speech, he says, we need to stop shopping in their businesses. White people. He's telling black people to stop shopping in white people's businesses. Stop giving them your money. It's racist. It's totally racist. It's a black supremacist speech. Now, none of my friends, and to my friend I'm addressing again from this morning, I saw you sharing Black Lives Matter. I saw you sharing everything. I didn't see you condemn this speech by Anthony Joshua. In fact, Sky News, all the media said it was a passionate speech. That's what they said about it. It was a passionate speech by Anthony Joshua. It was a racist speech by Anthony Joshua. If a white man stood up and said only shop in white businesses, there would be outrage. Now, Anthony Joshua and the hypocrisy of Anthony Joshua, don't give white men your money. That's what he said. Don't give white people your money. This is a man who takes his money from Saudi Arabia, the country with the biggest human rights violations in the world. They execute homosexuals. They oppress women. They punish women who are raped. A sexist, misogynistic shithole of a country, a barbaric nation, and that's who he takes his money off. But he stands in a speech in a city, bearing in mind he's got to where he's got because of, white people who have supported you, Anthony, that you don't want to give any money to their businesses, Anthony. And do you know what his excuse has come out and said? His excuse was he was reading someone else's speech. Oh, you're that fucking passionate, Anthony Joshua, about this issue. You can't even speak from the heart. You read someone else's pre-prepared speech, you idiot. And in that pre-prepared speech, it's racist against every single white person. Not against the racist, a real racist, not against the cop who murdered George Floyd. Just generally, every white person. Stop shopping in their businesses. Now I'm getting wound up because I'm seeing this, and this is to my friend who contacted me this morning. So he didn't comment on that. I don't see anyone commenting on that really from the Black Lives Matter movement, condemning his racism. So I'm sitting there and I'm seeing the protests. I'm thinking, right, I've now seen, I believe, 2 black police officers shot dead during the looting in the United States. So if you care about Black Lives Matter, do those 2 black police officers' lives not matter? Are they irrelevant? To the black 72-year-old man, I think, who was killed, murdered, defending his shop? Does he not matter? There is a black man shot dead every 14 hours in Chicago by another black man. I believe 3,000 in 1 year were shot dead by other black men, okay? Do their lives not matter? Because they don't matter to Antifa, to any of these organisations, to any of these people who are using you. They don't matter. They don't care. They're using you to push their narrative and agenda. They're using you to cause racial divisions. Now, all the black on black stabbings in London, do those kids not matter? The 14-year-olds being brought up in gangs because of a culture of music and violence, do their lives not matter? Because there's no riots, there's no mass demonstrations, there's nothing. The only time it matters is when there's a white individual that we can all go mad about and scream racism. So the hypocrisy that I'm witnessing in all of this is what upset me. And to my friend again, I'm addressing you, bro, because you called me on it this morning. You put your black hand up, fair enough. You want to support against black oppression, brilliant, okay? But the overstepping mark for me yesterday was when I saw a black male or female, I'm not sure what it was, maybe no gender, maybe I shouldn't assume gender, setting fire to a Union Jack on the war cenotaph, okay? On a war memorial in London. That war memorial was to remember all the dead victims of the Commonwealth, Sikhs, Muslims, blacks, and they're tearing it down and spray painting and desecrating it. That's what wound me up. And do you know why it wound me up? Because I didn't see anyone who's sharing all this rubbish. I didn't see anyone sharing that or condemning it. And do you know who it was left to go down and clean that paint off? People who called themselves my supporters. People who are labelled as far right, as racists. And then I see Winston Churchill's statue. And I see that desecrated. And I see the police move people trying to defend it to allow it to be attacked. And it's not that I believe that every person at that demonstration agrees or supports that, but I haven't seen anyone condemn it. And even my mates, who are all sharing it about Black Lives Matter. Right, okay, Black Lives Matter, but only when they're killed by a white person. It seems, yeah? That's what it seems like when you're watching it. I just think, come on, man. The statistics, this built-up narrative is based on what? Because the statistics don't stand on it. You're more likely to die in the United States by the hands of the police if you're white. And these identity politics, which are now being imported into our country, this Black Lives Matter movement, supported by our media, yeah, supported by basically the entire Remain movement, has caused more for racial disharmony than anything any white supremacist neo-Nazi organisation could have ever dreamed of. Ever dreamed of. And the media, Anthony Joshua, in passionate speech. Well, passionate, he was reading someone else's speech, apparently. It was a racist speech. Nothing more. Racist. But the media won't condemn that, and neither will half the people supporting it. So that's why I got very angered yesterday, because it was a build-up of sitting and watching this and seeing police officers attacked, and then the politicians condemning the police being on horses rather than condemning the men smashing bricks and smashing bikes against police officers. Now, I feel I've been, in fact, I will put together a video of all the times I've been harassed by the police, even recently, yeah? And I'll challenge any black man in the UK to show me anything that matches what I face by the police persecution, yeah? And is it racist? Is it racist? And I just think, come on, man, you're being used. And it really upsets me and frustrates me to see people being really radicalised on either side by a load of Antifa, socialist, Marxist, communist, activists, funded and supported by people who wish for race problems, who wish for divide. And we don't have these racial tensions in our country. Please don't go along with this bullshit narrative. By all means, go out and protest. And you have your right to protest and have your voice heard and be upset. But condemn those or stop and prevent those people who decide to desecrate our war memorials for all of our war dead and attack the statue of the man who led us in battle, who led our country in sacrifice against the world's biggest racist and biggest Nazi. Not applaud a black man when he stands in Watford and tells black people not to shop in our businesses. I watched a speech in Luton Town Centre again by someone who aligns himself with these movements. And he called for justice and he named all the people that he says are killed in police custody. But there's lots of white people killed in police custody. Do their lives not matter? Where is this racial divide? Do we only care about the black people killed? Do we not care about the white woman murdered by the same police force, shot by a black police officer in the same city, an Australian lady? Do we not care about that? Do we not care about any of this? Do we not care about, as I said, the 160 white people that have died in police custody? Do they not matter? I've watched a video in Ireland. I've watched a video of someone getting told about 400 years of slavery as loads of young black lads kick his head in. Does he not matter? I've watched as I said, if black lives matter, so do the black police officers murdered in these looting. That has nothing to do with this. This criminalised attacks on our police force. And do you know what? I get upset with our police force. But if you're a police officer, are you not angry at how you've been left vulnerable in this situation in our capital city? How you've been under-resourced, not given the right equipment, not given riot shields in case you offend. The way you've policed these protests is totally different to the way you would police protests by non-minorities. And I'm sorry, it's upsetting to watch. So to everyone asking, oh mate, to my mate this morning, bruv, why are you getting angry? I'm getting angry because the narrative that's being pushed is not backed up by statistics or fact. You're being fed lies by a media, a corrupt media. You're being fed lies by people who wish for racial disharmony. We're having identity politics brought in from the United States, funded from the United States, funded from communism and Marxism, and you're all biting the cherry, mate. You're biting it. And I'll get frustrated to watch it. And when I said we're coming to London, and it's not an anti-Black Lives, I'm not coming to London to take part in an anti-Black Lives Matter protest, because many people are there for the right reasons. But you've been hijacked by Antifa. You're being used. But I don't want to watch people desecrate war memorials that represent everyone that died. White, brown, black, everyone that died. To desecrate Sir Winston Churchill's statue. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to watch it. And if that means that... my name was trending last night on Twitter with loads of abuse. I'm a racist. If that makes me a racist, yeah, for believing... And in fact, I saw a black member of our ex-armed forces standing guarding one of those war memorials. A salute to you, sir, and thank you, yeah? I saw many non-white people, and on Saturday, many non-white people will be standing with patriots to defend those war memorials. Because we cannot rely on the police, and it's a sad state of affairs. That's why I'm getting frustrated. I'm thinking, we can't even rely on you. We can't even rely on you. You see, the pulling, this has all been imported from the United States. We've witnessed it in the United States for the last couple of years. And yeah, you've got race problems, and I'm not denying racism and race issues. But don't be fed a false narrative, right? Don't be fed a false narrative. Drop my phone. Oh, mate. I watched videos of police officers being sideswept. What has that female police officer done who's getting a bottle smashed in her head? What has she done? And she hasn't even been given a riot shield from the police because they don't want to offend anyone. Anyway, maybe this is just my white privilege talking. Maybe. If you're on this, get on Avi Yemeni's video. It's my colleague Avi Yemeni. It's the best video I've seen. Go on YouTube, Avi Yemeni, Black Lives Matter, and watch the hypocrisy and understand the mindset and watch him expose the foolishness of people who have been lied to, and they go to demonstration without understanding even why they're there. They're there because they're being told that that's it. Everyone would think that you're more likely to die if you're a black person, wouldn't you? Well, no, you're not. You're not. You're being lied to. And these stories are being whipped up and used. And boom, boom. Like the lady who was shot dead by a police officer, the female lady, in the same city, she didn't have a criminal record at all. She hadn't gone into a house and stuck a gun in a pregnant black lady. Does her life matter? She hadn't gone in and stuck a gun at that pregnant woman and robbed her in her home. She didn't have a full history of all this sort of mad crime. Anyway, man, I hope that was a lot calmer Because yesterday I was I'm just watching it all, and do you know what? I was losing my head. Like probably every one of you. Screaming at my phone, screaming at my TV. And for that, you get called a racist, but the reality is, you're being lied to. So, bro, mate, I hope I readdressed all of those issues about whether I'm against Black Lives Matter or whether what my reasons are. They're my reasons, mate. Peace, everyone, yeah? We were all pissed off. This result, it's not years of victimhood, being told you're victims, being told of oppression, when the figures just don't match, man. And if they did match, I'll be the first person speaking out against it. Do you know if you were 10 times more likely to be a victim of crime at the hands of white people as a black person? As I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. There were 600,000 white people who were victims of crime at the hands of black people in the United States. 600,000 last year. There were 60,000 victims who were black at the hands of white people. Now, you don't see us racialising that. You haven't heard me comment on that. But I have to comment on it to show you the false narrative you're being fed. And as Mike Tyson said, if white people went mad every time there was a white victim of black crime, we'd have no peace. But we don't believe all that crime. I don't believe all that crime is based on race. Stop racialising everything. Stop playing into their hands. See you later.